I was looking at this photo of the Greater Cemetery of Milan, the largest cemetery in Milan, Italy, and thought it was interesting that the 1800s group only seemed to know how to construct columns and incredibly detailed architecture. And as I kept zooming in, it hit me that this thing is bigger and goes underground, with the stairs right here in the center, which brings us to today's main topic, the catacombs all over the world. Yet another topic that we are not fully told about in our mainstream classes. A catacomb is classified as an underground cemetery, subterranean passageways, chambers, used as burial places. But these are no normal burial. They stack the bones in a decorated manner, as if it's an art of some kind, as if these acts were done deliberately, and these were their trophies. Do you want to know where the previous civilization might have gone? I can't make any claims, but there are clues in the catacombs. Where the largest catacomb system in the world is located in Odessa, Ukraine, a man-made tunnel system with over 1,500 miles of catacombs carved into the limestone beneath the city, dating back to the exact time period that we're talking about here, right before the 17 and 1800s, where the catacombs are on 3 levels and reach a depth of 60 meters below sea level. So when you think that everything on the surface is all that there is, think again. And these are the catacombs that we're told about. So who's to say there aren't more, covered by the mud and dirt? In Odessa, it's challenging to prove even a rough estimate of the number of bodies in the catacombs, as there is limited documentation and many areas remain unexplored or inaccessible. So they don't even know how many were put down into these 3-level tunnel systems that extend for 1,500 miles. Now, Ukraine is not the only catacomb in the world. We know this. The most popular one coming in Paris, France, where we are told that this catacomb alone holds the remains of more than 6 million people, and goes on to say that they extend south from the gate of hell. To get a sense of what this is all about, this is not a pleasant sight. And we get the excuse, in my opinion, that these were created as part of an effort to eliminate the effects of the city's overwhelming cemeteries. And the narrative yet again hits the dates we are discussing when it tells us that this all took place in the 1700s. What were they doing moving 6 million people in the mid-1700s in just Paris alone? And the most insane part about this is they show it off as an attraction. Buy your tickets here and see what they've done, extending to the gate of hell, in their words. This is all information that has been sitting here for a very long time, and all information that we, for some reason, never really looked at collectively. But now is the time for all of us to get a clearer understanding of what really took place in the past. Catacombs all over the world on their website explaining that these go down 131 steps under Paris, France. Tunnels that cover nearly 2,000 acres right below the city that we all walk on, where we can explore about 1 mile of this place when it has 200 miles of bone-lined walls. And yet again, 2 for 2 today, though only a small part is explored and open to the public. So we are getting an understanding that this 6 million total people is probably much more. And again, we have all asked, where did this advanced civilization go? I am simply researching and sharing what I find, but we can all speculate that it's possible that they are all right below us. A major reason, in my opinion, that these cities hold a very powerful energy, one that draws a mass amount of people to them. Once something major happens in a location, I think we can forever sense it, whether it's good or bad. The catacombs, a topic I didn't want to cover too early into this research. I felt like we are at the point now, after 71 episodes, that we are ready for it. And we're all ready to understand even more about this topic. And we all understand with a photo like this, that all of these remains needed to be separated. This is not a normal way to bury somebody. This looks like an award of some kind, like a trophy. Like whoever did this accomplished something and are creating some kind of trophy for themselves. These are all intertwined with each other. And again, how many more of these are below our cities that we don't know about and aren't told about or being restricted from us? St. Stephen's Cathedral, located in Vienna, Austria, where we of course get the fire nod, and also houses the remains of around 11,000 people in its catacombs. And we are just getting started today. Welcome to episode 72 of my lunch break. I hope you're all having a great day, and if you're new, welcome. And I want to thank all of our sponsors over on Patreon. Thank you to FlatEarthDave.com. You can check out his app. I'll put the link in the description, and you can use my referral code, MLB. He also has my lunch break on the homeschool section of the app, which is really cool. Thank you to Rebecca K, Don Gaston, Christopher Arietta, The Lady Lacey Show, David and Sherry Ferguson, Edwin Johnson, Chuck Templeton, Joy Lee, PNR, Stephanie Nolan, The Burlesons, Suez KC, Dan Woodall, Dale, DJ Clicktrack, Edward and Brianna, Jacob Law, Jim Ribley and Christine Duggan, Kyle Glascock, Tim Rack, PKTFnews.org, B, J Malia, Regna Saturna, Dendries NL, Juana Mesher, Sirius Feline, G Power, Natalie Shippenoff, TheGoldenTeacher.co, Amberson EMC, Blake, HK Sue, Isaac Wright, Melissa Edgar, Biggles, Clayton Lamar, Ultimus Maximus, Noble Task Homestead, John Adams, Easy and Whitney, Roberts O'Zolins, Old World Exploration, Kyle Logan, Michael Powell, Sarah Fenton, The Crypto Schizo, Rick Tapkey, Ryan and Laney Benner, The Arnolds, 3D6.Space, Attila Power, VKH Bonner, Jason Neufeld, Rod James, Bell's Clarions for God, Forbidden Gecko Love, Justin Grobner Grubb, Leah Strong, Peter Batani, Dakota Dunn, Eric Martinez, Ivan Apoctoli, Jesse DeLeon, Jim Bro, Edwin Rice, Helmut, Charles Kruger, Glenn Gunderson, Pacific Crafted, HaggardT-shirts.com, Meta, Jason Hochberg, Marie C, ValleyMedicinals.com, David and Irene, Michael Dingyu, Michelle Wilson, Patriot Armory, Tom O'Hara, Wayne T, Michael D. Connor, Hen Yardies, Victoria Lee, James Alt, Dan McGee, Vince Moreno, Stony Stargod, Roz Matthews, Shiba Shaba in the Darkness. You guys are all awesome and helping this channel out a lot. So this cathedral that holds a fire narrative and 11,000 people buried underneath it is selling tickets. You can visit them on a tour. Just buy your tickets today. This is unbelievable. Here's a photo from the 1920s of the exit from the catacombs, where we can see that we are just scratching the surface. Some of these buildings clearly have a different purpose than what we are told. This guy is giving his rundown of the experience. And in the middle of it, he says that they renovated it 50 years ago to make it modern looking. Then we have the Catacombs of Lima, where they tell us that in 1546, they began construction of the Basilica and Convent of San Francisco in Lima, located in Peru, not California. And this included the catacombs where there are another 25,000 bodies lying in it that we are told about. Again, buried in these weird artistic designs, the catacombs or crypts of Lima are considered the largest in the entire continent. And we are told that these enormous wells, 10 meters deep, filled with bones and skulls, the well's original purpose was to preserve the old buildings from earthquakes. And they also tell us, for a third time today, that there is most likely more to these catacombs that we are not able to see. When they say, it is believed that there is a network of paths and secret passages that connect different buildings. Now remember, before 1943, the public was unaware of these catacombs in Lima. So for me to suggest that there are many other catacombs all around the world is a pretty basic suggestion. And remember, the experts of the 1940s figured out exactly who these people were and gave us the full truth about the dates. No. Let's read that first paragraph. The neatly organized bones for geometric patterns in sizable open ossuary just below the floor of the church, monastery, and library. And before 1943, nobody knew that was there. Now, let's ask a question. How many churches around the world have the exact same thing going on underneath the floor that we aren't being told about? Is this the reason that when you walk into these places, you feel a massive presence? I'll go deeper into this. We have an episode coming up where we went into New York City. I went inside the St. Patrick's Cathedral, and here's part of the video that I got. Now, I'm not saying there are catacombs under this church, but when I asked this guy at the front in the suit if there was a basement, he looked at me very strange and said, absolutely not. But did let me know something. He gave me information that I needed to hear, and that is that there is supposedly an even older St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City. And this guy let me know that this one did have catacombs under its floors. Now, if I'm going to speculate at this point, I would say that the one that I was in has catacombs as well, but that's just my opinion. But yet again, sold as an attraction where you get tickets to go and see these bones. And we all know how construction works. There are steps that you have to take in order to build a building. You build the foundation first. This means that the catacombs were constructed before these churches. And then the church is strategically placed on top. Why would a church build on top of these geometrically placed bones of, in my opinion, the previous civilization? And then they profit off of it, selling tickets all over the world, showing it off as an attraction to us. In my opinion, the new population. And who is buying these tickets? And then we have the Brno ossuary, an underground ossuary that were rediscovered in 2001. So this has just been hanging out below the ground for all this time, and we just rediscovered it. I keep saying it, but now knowing this, can you even imagine what is really below our feet? And who did this? Who set all these bones up like this? And yet again, it is under the Church of St. James, where it holds an estimated 50,000 people, making it the second largest ossuary in Europe that we know about. And remember, all of these bones are laid in a pattern, like we've been told, and they are done like this all over the world, not just in Europe, meaning that the same group did this all over the world. And they tell us it's because the graves were too populated. Yet they go on to dismantle the bones and put them into geometric patterns, which makes no sense at all. Why would you randomly do that? It doesn't add up. You would preserve them properly and lay them the way they were found. This feels much deeper than simply transporting due to overpopulation of an area and then building a church right on top of them over and over. So who do they tell us is responsible for placing these bones into geometric patterns? Who did this? According to walksofitaly.com, it was just your everyday quarrymen. You know, those quarrymen just laid human skulls into perfect geometric shapes for fun back in the day. This was their side hobby, of course. No. Let's read this. Despite the ritual with which the bones were transferred, the bones had simply been dumped into the tunnels in large heaps. Slowly but surely, the quarrymen lined the walls with tibias and femurs, punctuated with skulls, which form the basis of most of the decorations that tourists see today. This is unbelievable. Now, do we really think that this was just the quarrymen that just randomly decided to do this in every single continent in the world? Or do we think that this is a front story for the group that is truly responsible for this? You tell me. And that is just for Paris, France. So what about in Peru? 6,077 miles away from each other. Do you think those quarrymen, they just sent their local raven on a mission across the Atlantic Ocean? They need to make sure they also set those overpopulated bone dumps into perfect geometric patterns. Or do you think this might be a lie? When this website lets us know that the ones in Lima, Peru, the way the femurs, tibia, and craniums are placed, echo a symbolic or ritualistic intention, and goes on to say the neatly organized bones from geometric patterns in sizable open ossuary just below the floor of the church. And now when we go back to the St. James Church and go on their website and find that today, the ossuary at the Church of St. James is an attraction for tourists. So right under this floor, you have 50,000 that have no true identity, just overpopulation, moving random people that were just crowding the place, just taking up too much room and time to put them in the geometric layouts all over the world. And most of it being off limits to the public. Are you trusting the mainstream story so far? Should I keep going? Should we just show that this fire narrative all over the world may be a much deeper meaning? Is this the location where the catacombs are located? Because in 1515, the St. James Church, we're told, that the finished presbytery was affected by the fire that caused the roof to fall in and subsequently destroyed all the altars. Is this the nod, showing us the locations of where they are buried? I'm not sure, but we have seen it multiple times now, and things are starting to get very interesting if you ask me. Coded messages, hidden clues, all written within these narratives that have been waiting for us to discover them for years. I've said it before, but it does feel exactly like a game, a puzzle that we are supposed to solve, all within this narrative that we've been given. Clues that when you know what you're looking for, seem to stare at you right in the face. Let's take a minute and thank all of our badge members, all of our Patreons, and every single subscriber. You are all the reason that this channel is growing to a bigger and bigger audience every single week. We're also over on Rumble, X, TikTok, and Instagram. So let's go deeper. Let's take a look at this map. Right here in the center, we are given the St. John's Church, where we know right underneath it is all of these catacombs, all of these bones. And it looks like it is the central location of the entire city. Going back to my point that this might be the reason that so many people today are pulled into these cities on a much deeper level without them even realizing it. You can see the same thing going on in Paris with their catacombs. Like everybody is gathering around it and they don't even realize it because it's below their feet. And to prove my point, let's show another one and go back to the first one that we talked about, Odessa, Ukraine, where there is clearly an attraction going on here to this central point. It's not like the catacombs are on the outside of the city. They are dead center. Even the old St. Patrick's Cathedral is dead center on this land layout of Lower Manhattan. And the same exact thing with the new one that we saw, went inside of, and will be covering in an upcoming episode. Another centralized catacombs location in Alexandria, Egypt, where the city is circling around it again. And the inside of these ones are pretty intense. They consist of 3 levels, cut through solid rock. Visitors can reach the first level through a breach in the rotunda wall, which of course was made at an unknown date. This leads to a hall of Caracalla, in which the bones of horses and humans were found. They were found. We even have the St. Paul's catacombs, where we have catacombs all the way out on this little island of Malta. And again, right under the church. And here, they give us the layout, the one that's available to the public. And you can see that this is intricate. This is not done by your average cowboy or your random quarryman. They were very advanced and precise with what they were doing all over the world. So what we see on the ground is clearly not all to this place that we live. There is much more below our feet, where I have some incredible things planned for this channel. The more that it grows. The more that it grows, the easier it will get for us to do things. One thing's for sure, and that is that we have a lot more to discover in places that have been here all along. And now that we know that they are there, we can go even further into this research. And do we all understand how this is all connected now when we can go back to episode 68, when we saw the Tron Kirk? And at that time we didn't know. But now we do. Located in Edinburgh, Scotland. Do we all remember what we read? Do you see now how the more information that we have, the more we understand when we read that the church floor was removed in 1974 to allow excavation of the entire floor level, where we now understand what is underneath these floors of so many of these churches all over the world. We now understand most likely what they found in 1974. We are unlocking it all, and we're just getting started.